In the 2020s, a pandemic crippled the world. Some panicked, some denied it. These two guys stayed home, drank, and watched movies. These are the Jaymeson tapes. On the topic of old fashions, I do have a story. A week prior to this recording session, you said, I'm going to do old fashions. And I was like, man, that sounds really cool. I'm not going to go out and buy all the ingredients for that because I had a different drink in mind, which we'll discuss. But that weekend, because it was a week prior, I went to a retirement party and a dude there was just like, hey, there's this bottle of bourbon out and no one's opening it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be that one person that opens it first. And he said, well, fuck it. I'm going to go get the stuff for old fashions. So he runs next door and just brings a bunch of stuff for old fashions. And then I had one. And then the next day, I go to Paprika's holiday, like company holiday party. And the dude I'm sitting across from is like, I love old fashions. Do you want to get one with me? And I said, yes. So I had a bunch of old fashions before you did.
Oh,
It's like the universe just went, it's okay, Abysmii, I'll give you some.
I have been working hard lately, and I think I haven't, since like New Year's, I haven't had a drink.
Oh, wow, really?
So I have been making myself old fashions through the watch, and I just made myself a double for the episode recording. And I am good at this. I've talked about living near a distillery before, the Union Horse Distillery. They have their bourbon whiskey called Reserve. So I have that. I've made my own simple syrup, which I added a little bit of maple and a little bit of brown sugar to. I bought Ardo maraschino cherries, and yes, I am one of those pretentious guys that if it's proper maraschino, I pronounce it maraschino instead of maraschino because they're two different things.
I did learn that from How to Drink.
Yes, and I expressed some orange peel over this, and I got some Ango bitters in there, big square ice cube, and it's been pretty magical. It's been a good cocktail day.
Hell yeah.
So what you drinking?
I decided after New Year's, because I got really drunk for New Year's, I'm just going to commit to one thing for this next recording session, and that is absinthe the proper way. I went out, I bought Pernod, 68 ABV, which is fucking intense, but I bought a little single serve absinthe water decanter thing. I bought sugar cubes, the whole 9 yards, and it's been pretty damn magical.
Yeah, we without even kind of planning it, we're kind of fancy bitches for this episode.
Yeah, it's very thematic, and we will explain why. But I've also had a very good cocktail session.
So let's talk about this fucking movie you showed me.
By the way, this movie is French as hell.
Oh, good. Oh, I didn't know when it said Arte Francais Cinema. All right. Okay. This is going to be a weird one, isn't it, Abysmii?
Yeah. Okay, so it's my birthday pick, and
for those not aware, we've explained this previously, but there is a rule of birthday on the Jaymeson tapes, which is if it is your birthday month, you get one unvetoable movie choice, and you don't have to tell everyone else in advance what your movie choice is. But yeah, go ahead.
So I saw this movie, which is called Deerskin, and in Francais, because this is a very, very French film, Les Dames. I saw this originally during the lockdown, and my first viewing left me with, I think that was a great movie, but I don't know. I need someone else to watch this with. So I watched it with Paprika at a later date, and she thought it was very stupid and wanted me to relay that again just a few minutes ago, that she thinks it's very stupid. Which is fine, because she's not wrong, but she's also very wrong.
Oh no, it's hey, spoilers for this episode. It's very, very stupid, and I think I like it a lot.
It is penned as a comedy, as kind of like a horror black comedy. But if you don't know that going in, I can see how it would be very confusing. But I think even like not telling anyone what it's about is still the proper way to do it. But yes, it's a French film. It came out in 2019. It was premiered at the Cannes Festival. I have not really seen anyone else talk about this movie. It very much flew under the radar.
I had absolutely never heard of it.
Yeah, it's not feature length, 77 minutes, but oh man, does it use that 77 minutes well.
Yeah,
Whew.
it goes places.
It does. It is a we'll do our I mean, what I love about this is the Wikipedia entry is just man buys jacket, becomes obsessed.
And I think this is kind of an A24 thing that this movie also did really well. I think I'm fond of the trick that a lot of movies are doing lately, where it seems like for most of the film nothing is happening. And then it's just like, oh yeah, motherfucker!
Oh, I saw you slumping in your couch. Wake the fuck up. It's time for your skin. Oh,
Wake
yeah,
up, bitch! Give me your jacket!
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna get into it. This movie starts out with a scene of someone filming three people taking a armful full of jackets, putting them in the trunk of a car, of a sedan, and saying, "I vow to never wear a jacket, never again."
Yeah.
And then that's our opening. And then it switches to a man, a kind of middle-aged man in his car, going from place to place, getting gas, using a gas station bathroom, and then shoving his jacket into a toilet and trying to flush it, seemingly unaware that you can't do that, but then just leaves.
And he just leaves, just wrecking that bathroom.
Yeah, that bathroom is flooded.
Yep. So from there, he goes to visit Santa Claus.
Okay, I didn't even say this is Santa during the recording, but I'm glad that we were both thinking it.
Yes. He goes to visit an older guy who sells him a jacket. And not just any jacket, the jacket that is central to the plot of this film.
Absolutely crucial.
So it is a 100% deerskin jacket, and our main character, George, puts on the jacket, and it doesn't quite fit right, but he's looking in the mirror and he's in love with it. I think my favorite thing is that it doesn't quite fit him.
Yes. Yes. And that is intentional for sure.
And he pays 7,500 euro to Santa for this jacket. And is apparently even already 200 euros short. But let's do some
$8,132.62.
Yes.
But
okay.
that would have been back in 2019 when this is filmed, so that amount would have been higher because the euro has fallen since then.
Okay.
So
Yep,
probably like $9,000.
Yeah. You were ahead of me on that, but yes, he spent $9,000 on a deerskin jacket.
But he gets a free digital camera with it.
That's true. He shorts this guy $200, and this guy is just like, oh, that's okay. Here's a free camera.
He does literally, Santa Claus literally says, I've never seen so much money in my life.
Yeah.
If it's not apparent at this point, George is a loser.
Yeah.
He is an absolute loser.
If you're going to take anything away from everything we're about to tell you about this movie, it's that George sucks.
He's great, but he sucks.
He's great. He sucks. I love every time he is on camera, but fuck him.
So he picks this up, and Santa Claus lives in like some remote mountainous region of France, probably like near the Swiss border or something, and continues on and finds a chateau that has been turned into an Airbnb or a hotel or what have you, and goes to the front desk and says, hey, I need to stay. And the front desk attendant says, for how long? George says, for a month. I want to be alone. Attendant says, okay, cool. How are you going to pay? And George, in typical loser fashion, says, yeah, about that. I don't have any money. And kind of puts it back in the attendant's court.
Yeah. He says, I don't have any money, so what are we going to do about this? What a fucking presumptuous question. I don't have money, so what are we going to do about this? You fucking leave.
There's the door.
Which
ends up gives his wedding ring as collateral because it's gold, which, okay, fine. Goes and stays in room 15, whose key has a fox paw on it. There's a lot of hunting and just wildlife themes in this movie that I appreciate. Yeah. And while in bed before turning in, starts talking to his jacket that he's become very fond of.
And starts filming himself talking to his jacket with the camera that Santa gave him.
Later, goes to a bar, as one does.
Yes, he goes out to a bar, and the bartender.
Oh, actually, there was a loud bang that night, and we don't know what that is at this point, but it does wake him up in the middle of the night.
Yes. So the bartender.
Oh, wait, sorry. Before that, he's eating trash food.
Oh, that does happen before that.
Yeah. He fishes a sandwich out of the garbage, and there's a kid just watching him, and he's like, "What are you looking at? Fuck you." And the kid's like, "I'm watching a dude eating trash sandwiches." Doesn't say this, but that's what's being conveyed.
Yeah. So a kid watches George in his deerskin jacket eat trash.
Yep.
So then George is at a bar, and the bartender and one of the patrons, one of the female patrons, are like have pulled aside from it and are just talking. And this is when George looks over to them and is like, "Talking about my jacket? I see you looking at my friend's jacket. Would it surprise you to know I spent almost 8,000 euros on this?
My life's savings.
It would? I understand." And I don't think we've talked enough about the jacket itself.
No, we haven't.
It is a deerskin jacket covered in fringe, and it like doesn't quite fit George.
Which it could just be the cut, because it does look like it's cut at the mid, at like the waist a bit high, but it very much on purpose does not fit George. Well,
Yeah.
it fits around his sleeves though.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that might just be the cut, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it doesn't fit him and it looks funny.
Yeah, but it's a fringe deerskin jacket, and the fringe is pretty glorious.
Oh yes.
So these two women are talking about him, the bartender and one of the patrons, and he's just like, "Looking at my jacket." People talk about my jacket when they approach me. They're all like, "Hey, nice jacket." It's a great
jacket that he's had for less than 24 hours, or
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, they're like, "No."
Strange man? No, no. They said, no, we're not talking about your jacket, but also who are you? And he says, "Oh, I'm just here." Yeah, you're not a local. What do you do? "I'm a filmmaker," because he has a digital camera now. And later, the other patron, the female patron, follows him home and says, "Hey, Spielberg, can I be in your porno film?" And George is, of course, greatly offended by this because he makes real cinema.
Yeah.
Ever heard of Marble Hornets? I made them. I have all the tapes to prove it. You thought it was some kids from Pennsylvania. Nope. And then she drives off.
And I think that's the last we see of her.
That is the last we see of her.
He goes to the bank from here, and he talks to the bank teller, who's like, "Yeah, your account's frozen." He's like, "Why?" And he's like, "I think your wife froze it because you took out like 7,500 euros." And this is the first of maybe a few instances where he does what I call curse sneezing. The scene ends with him just like saying shit in French incredibly loud and incredibly fast, and then just leaving.
Ironically, though, the subtitles say "God damn it," which is like, no, he said shit. We all heard it. And I should note that the subtitles definitely are not the most accurate, but that does kind of lend to the comedy.
Yeah,
ironically.
yeah, no, I got that. Makes it feel, how do I put this? It adds a dissonance to everything that is happening that actually
Yes.
works in the movie's favor.
It does. Oh, and we should mention that before he walked into the bar, he called his ex-wife and says, "Hey, I left." And she says, "Yeah, and? Well, do you want to know where I am?" "No, because you're nothing and you're nowhere and you're a loser." And then he just throws his phone away.
And she's right, because George
And
sucks.
she's absolutely right. Yeah.
He leaves the bank, and it doesn't hit as hard the first time as it does later, but we do get a scene of him mimicking a conversation between himself and his jacket.
Yes.
He starts having a discussion where he's talking, and then he's mimicking his deerskin jacket also talking to him. Oh. You're outright just talking to it now.
Yep. This will be me later in life, walking down the street and talking to myself.
Yeah. With a horn section behind you.
Descent into madness is well underway at this point.
Yeah, this is just kind of the beginning of it. He goes back to the bar.
Well, before that, so the waitress had given him her number because he said, "Oh, well, I'm a filmmaker," and she says like, "Oh, well, I'm an editor." He's like, "What?" Because George is a imposter and doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. But she gives him her number. And the next morning, he goes down, and there's a different person at the front desk, and he's like, "Hey, what happened to that other dude? I need to talk to you about paying for my room." And the attendant says, "Oh, the previous dude blew his brains out," which was the big, loud sound that
Yeah,
we heard.
I just as we started recording the episode pieced that together. That the scene where they were wondering what the bang sound was
Yeah. Well, it's just so much of the dialogue in this movie is understated
yeah.
and like blasé that like upon my first watch, I didn't put that together either. So George says, "Oh well, I had an agreement with him about the collateral with my wedding ring," and the attendant says, "Well, I don't have that." So George goes upstairs to where the body is currently being held and takes the ring back, but not before he takes the deceased's 100% deerskin hat.
And you can tell watching this movie that there wasn't a lot of budget for it. And this is the one moment where that's glaringly obvious, because you see the dummy for the guy, the front desk guy who killed himself, and like the front of his face is missing. Kind of a weak dummy.
It looks like a CPR dummy.
Yeah.
It's very cheap, but whatever.
But the important bit is that the dead man has a deerskin hat, and George takes that along with his wedding ring back.
Mm-hmm.
And what we had meant to say earlier previously about the bartender is when he goes back to the bar, he talks to her and says that, "Hey, that woman from earlier followed me," and she's like, "Oh, that was a hooker." And he mentions he's a filmmaker, and she's like, "Oh, well, I'm an editor. I edit film in my spare time, just for the fun of it." She mentions she edited the film Pulp Fiction, so it's in chronological order.
And it sucks when you do as such.
And yeah, have we talked? I feel like on some podcasts we talked about how, oh fuck, man, this is going to be a weird tangent. What's the name of the guy who was on that 70s show who also played Venom?
Not Danny Masterson. Is it Danny Masterson?
No. That's the guy who turned out to be a rapist.
Yeah.
Googling it. Topher Grace.
Thank you. Yes.
So Topher Grace was teaching himself how to edit, and this is what I thought of during that scene. And while he was teaching himself how to edit, he made himself a cut of all of the Star Wars prequels, and it's a singular film that is all of the Star Wars prequels condensed so that you get all of the information from it.
He's the dude who did that?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And it's like an hour and a half long.
I only heard that a fan did that.
No.
And I had no idea it was Topher Grace.
It was Topher Grace.
Holy shit.
And he can't like publicly release it or anything.
No.
And he just like shows it to people sometimes. And everyone who's seen it is like, yeah, it works perfectly as a 1.5 hour long movie.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I can imagine Pulp Fiction in chronological order just not being that very good.
No, that's not intended as such.
So that's my weird tangent. Anyway, so yeah, she mentions she's an editor. The front desk guy blows his brains out. When she mentions she's an editor, she's interested in filmmaking, so she gives him her phone number. So he starts to realize he needs to know something about filmmaking to continue the ruse he has created. So
very thin charade.
So he goes to a bookstore and just steals a book about filmmaking.
It's like occupations in film. It's not even filmmaking 101. It's just like, here's the different parts of a crew.
Yeah, he gets back to the hotel and he's reading the book. And it's at this point that he starts having full-on conversations with the jacket. Yep. And I had telegraphed it a little bit, hoping that's where this movie was going. And I was correct.
You were on the money.
And it's great. It's fantastic. But what the jacket tells him, and this is basically the premise of the film.
Yep.
His jacket tells him that it wants to be the only jacket in existence.
And there's your premise for the film.
There's the whole movie.
Yep.
That's the movie.
Beautiful.
Eventually his bank account is locked. He can't make any more money. So he calls up the bartender and says, "Hey, I'd like to give you a job editing my movie. I have investors from where were they? Siberia. I have Siberian investors, and they're investing in my movie. They're filming a big action scene on a glacier.
There's really bad reception. I can't get in touch with my producers, but do you want a job?
Do you want a job? And also, I need money.
And this is important. He does tell her, you can have the job, but you can't wear a jacket in front of me.
Yes.
And she takes that in a very weird way. Like, or is this a porn or something? He says, no, just don't wear a jacket in front of me. And she complies. And then he has her withdraw as much money as possible from her bank account, from an ATM.
So yeah, that allows him to buy a few things. I think it covers a little bit of his hotel. It covers him buying more tapes, but most importantly, it allows him to buy deerskin boots.
You may be noticing a pattern at this point.
Yeah. So then he kind of has it in his head, okay, we're filming a movie. That ruse worked, so I'm going to continue the ruse to pay people to be actors in my film. And I'm going to ask them to bring all of their jackets to the filming. Man, explaining this is a trip.
Basically, he just tricks a bunch of people, and they show up and go like, hey, okay, I'm ready for my casting call. No, we're filming. Did you bring the jackets? Yeah. Okay, well, say that you're never going to wear a jacket again and put it in the trunk. And then they do, and he pays them all like 100 euros each or something, and then just drives off with their jackets, much to their protestation.
Yeah.
Except for the last guy who's like, oh, I don't have enough money. Sorry.
The last guy is important.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last guy, he asked for his 100 euros, and he's like, sorry, I only have this much, whatever. And then George, oh no, notices the kid from earlier who saw him eating out of the trash, just standing there watching him. And George is just like, who the fuck is this kid? Why is he, this kid's been following me. What's up? What the fuck is wrong with this kid? Hey kid, what's wrong with you? And when he doesn't hear a response from the kid, in what is one of the 3 incredibly hilarious things that happen in this film, he picks up a brick and just throws it at this kid and just hits him right in the fucking face. Alright, why? Oh my god! What?
Yeah, I decided to love this movie. Apropos of nothing beyond, George was annoyed. That's it.
George was pissed off this kid was following him, and he's just like, fuck it, I'm throwing a brick at this kid. And it happens so casually. But my favorite part is like immediately after that, when after he throws a brick at his kid, he gets in his car, and the guy who he just shorted to pay for this moment comes up to his window and is like, can I get my jackets back? And George is just like, no, I tricked you, fuck off.
You're fucked, bye. Again, George is an asshole.
Oh, George,
he's a loser.
George is a piece of shit, and he is incredible. George is an incredible piece of shit. This is a movie.
Great.
This is a movie starring Larry.
Yes, yes. This is the Larry movie that we don't want, but that we do have.
Yeah. So here's where the movie takes a turn it's been building up to this whole time. After he throws the rock at the kid, he has all these jackets. He talks to the editor again, and she's like, I can only give you 80 more euro. They locked my account.
And he sneeze curses again.
He sneeze curses one more time. All right. I'm trying to remember these events in the correct order.
It's a little tough, but essentially, I don't want to spoil anything because I do want people to watch this. Even though, I mean, we've spoiled the plot, but trust me, that doesn't really matter. Essentially, he talks more to his jacket, and this jacket convinces him that, hey, the only way you're going to get people to stop wearing their jackets other than taking it from them is just to start killing them. I mean, you can't pay everybody off. So George rips his ceiling fan from the ceiling and takes one of the blades out and uses it like a blade, and even drives down the road sharpening it out the door of his car and starts stalking people outside of the cinema. And that's important. Okay, sorry, tangent. This is the second French film I've watched where the French love to talk about how the French make movies. It's very masturbatory.
Yeah.
And the other film is Irma Vep, which is a movie just about the French bemoaning the fact that they can't make movies well anymore. The French love to talk about cinema in their film. He is filming a movie inside this movie. It's just so many goddamn meta levels. And it's hilarious to me that this is just a quirk of French cinematic culture. But that aside, so he just starts killing people because they won't, do what he says. He does ask nicely, kind of creepily, definitely, and then just slashes them with a fan blade and films himself doing so.
What are we doing here, George? Okay. Yeah, that's real sharp, George. What you doing?
Where did you get watermelon in some like armpit mountainous French town?
Oh, is this where we're going, movie?
Props for using a unconventional weapon.
Yeah, by the way, sharpened ceiling fan blade may have entered my top 10 favorite new
Improvised weapons.
slasher weapons.
Yeah, pretty badass. And you could argue that he could just like wash it off in the snow and whatever. That would be cool. They didn't show that. They did show him sharpening it and then cutting a watermelon with it and eating it in the snowy night. Very weird, but again, French film. So he does this, he records it, he brings some to, or he mails some to the waitress, and the waitress says, or Denise, that's her name. Denise loves it, and then goes to him and says, like, I love it. I need more. Also, I'm taking over your production. My dad sold his butcher shop. I have a shit ton of money. And by the way, I know that you're full of shit and that you're a pathetic loser. And I've known the entire time because you're transparent as hell. And basically says, you need to film more. Here's money.
So we didn't really put any kind of spoiler warning for this movie. But hey, everyone just fucking go watch this movie and then come back to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is a solid recommendation from me. Get some friends together and watch this one. So by the end of this movie, she's given him deerskin pants. He's got the deerskin hat and the deerskin jacket.
And boots.
And she says she's funding the movie now, but she's not just going to give him money unless it's something conducive to the film they're making. And he's like, well, what I want, and he just holds up his hands. And there have been funny moments previous to this, but this was the first moment. It's near the end of the film, but I laughed so hard I was in physical pain. So he goes out and purchases 100% deerskin gloves. The shopkeeper is like, we have some synthetic ones that are a little cheaper. And he and the Denise, the editor, are just like, look at how stylish this man is. You want to sell him fake deerskin gloves?
The term that comes back multiple times is "look at my killer style," which he's literally killing people because of his style, which is one thing. But I do have to say, I have started adopting that when I'm dressing up to go to a thing. I will say to Paprika, "Look at my killer style," and very coincidentally, with this retirement party I went to that I mentioned previously, we had gone to a thrift store, like a vintage thrift store thing, and I bought this jacket, which is very 70s looking. It's not 100% deerskin or anything like that, but I love it. It's very stylish, and I just kept, saying, "Look at my killer style, Paprika." We went to the party, and everybody commented on my jacket. Everybody loved it, and I was like, "This is how George felt, or how George wanted to feel."
Yes.
Like people actually cared. It was so fucking awesome. So I will now be adopting the phrase killer style whenever I dress up fancy.
So yeah, she then films George in a field prancing around in his deer outfit. Oh, did we skip over him drinking water in the forest?
Okay, so after he hires a construction guy to come out with his backhoe to dig a shallow grave, why not? And then he pays him off and says, "Okay, go away. I'll fill it up myself." He dumps all the jackets he's stolen from people, and then by hand, as opposed to just buying a shovel, puts it all back in, packs it down, and then leaves. And then after that, films himself at a river, probably a very, very cold mountain river, drinking water and just delighting in the fact that he's filming himself doing this. And we keep getting cuts back to deer throughout this movie because that's what George thinks he is.
George thinks he's a deer now. And cutting back forward to him getting the deerskin gloves, and Sophie is just filming him prancing around pretending to be a deer. And if you thought I laughed hard previously, what happens next is a gunshot rings out and George falls dead. He just falls dead on the ground. George just is dead. He gets shot and is dead.
Aw. He's so happy.
What? 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 What?
The most poetic justice I think I've ever seen filmed.
Oh!
We cut to a man with a hunting rifle who, having done his business, gets back in his car, and in the passenger seat is his son, the boy whom George hit with a fucking brick. And I think it's very appropriate that that's basically a hunter shooting a deer.
Yeah.
Or a man who thinks he's a deer. So George, I guess I view this as a happy ending. He went out the way he wanted to.
Yeah.
He was in pure bliss when that happened. He was just saying, film me, and was just twirling around and was just, for his last moments, was in pure joyous ecstasy.
For his last moments, he lived as a pure joyous ecstasy as a deer, and then he went out like a deer.
Yeah.
And he laid there dead on the ground, and Sophie goes over and takes off his jacket and puts it on, and that's the end of the movie.
Credits. Oh.
So, yeah, good banger. It's only now as I was like, I recognize the star of this film. Googling it, that I realized that that's Dujardin. Excuse my pronunciation. He was the star of The Artist, the Academy Award-winning film for Best Picture.
Wow.
The Artist is a fantastic film. It's a French. It's kind of a comedy, but yeah, the Georges was the star of a film that won the Academy Award for Best Picture and had won Best Actor at Cannes previously.
Mad props to someone that who can star in that and then also like star in something like Deerskin, but completely commit to it.
Yeah, this movie fucking rules.
It's a film, if we're gonna get analytical now that we've done the rundown, it's about midlife crises. It is about a man who divorces his wife she dumped him, let's be honest. He has nothing. He is penniless. He does not have a job. He is a loser. He is manipulative and is not above stealing from people. And he does indeed get his comeuppance, but at the same time, he does he just, some people will buy a Ferrari or something for their midlife crisis. George buys a deerskin outfit.
Yes.
And just lives his best life, I guess. And no matter how he looks in the mirror and he loves how he looks. And there is something very admirable about that. And I envy films that are this simple but profound because they just commit to this very, very simple plot and they do so much with it with so little. It's just so fucking fun to watch.
He won Best Actor for The Artist too. Yeah,
good. Deserves it.
This is an Academy Award winning actor putting on a full deerskin suit and prancing about in the.
Oh man, again, mad props. And I think I can't praise this movie enough. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
It's a very nice, smaller indie production that knows what it's doing and achieves it well. And oh man. Yeah, I'm very, very tickled pink that both you and Sade enjoyed it as well.
I mean, I imagine if this movie had any kind of budget, it was probably hiring the lead if this came after. It definitely came after when he was an Academy Award winner, but...
Oh, like 8 years afterwards, yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird as fuck role, and... Ooh, boy. Yeah, I'm amazed I didn't know about this movie.
I would not have known about it if Prime hadn't randomly recommended it. It's just one of those, algorithmic miracles of, hey, you would like this. Why would I like this? This is called Deerskin. What the hell is that about? No, just watch it. Okay. And then boom, it's fucking amazing. So yeah, no, go watch this. It's on Prime. It was on Netflix for a bit. It isn't anymore, but it's well worth the watch. And like Alan said, watch it with friends. It's a wonderful just group viewing.
Yes.
Oh.
I want to know more about this direct. Well, yep. So, this guy directed Rubber.
Okay, that was going to be my next point, is a lot of people go like, this is a lot like Rubber. Well, that's why.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And I didn't want to say that because it would kind of clue you in more. Not that you needed any assistance in that, but yeah, it's...
That makes sense. And also, everyone always like jokingly brings up Rubber as like a terrible film. I fucking love Rubber so much.
Oh, Rubber's great. I saw Rubber with my friends back in high school, but the friend who put it on, if I had to bring like a random person on as a guest, I would bring him on because he is completely batshit crazy and I love him. But he's the one who's like, no, we're watching Rubber. Rubber's great. So he would love this movie too.
Yeah, I want to watch everything this director has made now. Maybe we'll do another episode where we both go into a movie he's made blind. I don't know, but yeah, yes, on board, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he released something in 2021 called Mandibles, and that's all I need to know.
Yep. Hey,
Perfect.
Look out for a future episode where we watch Mandibles.
Well, okay. What is going to be our signature drink for this?
Well, the first thing I was going to bring up is that when I think alcohol and I think deer, my brain immediately drifts to Jägermeister.
Ooh, yes. Yes, absolutely on point.
But I was also looking at alcohol that France was known for, and absinthe, cognac,
wine,
chartreuse.
I mean, Jaeger definitely makes sense. It's literally called Hunter Master.
Yeah, there's a big fucking deer on the bottle. So if we could find somewhere in the middle where Jägermeister somehow meets with a French alcohol.
Okay.
Have I told my Jägermeister story on this show?
If you have, I don't recall it, so go ahead.
Cool. So the first time I got alcohol poisoning.
Oh, Jesus.
I was 21 years old, and as much as I talk about drinking, I, save for like one or two exceptions, did not drink until after my 21st birthday. So I used to work at this pizza place, but it was right next door to a liquor store, and I had a really, really, really bad night at the pizza place. So I went next door to the liquor store, and I was like, what's on sale? I know nothing about alcohol. And I bought a full bottle of Jägermeister. And then I went home, and I played Street Fighter 4. And over the course of playing Street Fighter 4, drank an entire bottle of Jägermeister in an hour and a half.
Jeez.
And yeah, I was at my folks' place at the time. And came downstairs and was like, hey guys, I'm really drunk, but I just need something to eat and I'll be fine. And they gave me macaroni and cheese, and I immediately vomited it into the sink. And then I went upstairs and continued to vomit into the upstairs toilet. And what woke me up, because I was in there for a very long time, I passed out on the floor. And I was passed out in a way that no one else could get in the bathroom because the door just hit me. So apparently I was in there long enough that they had given up any hope of like waking me up in a polite way, and my sister was just opening the door real fast to bang me in the fucking face. To this day, it is a unique thematic experience for me to bring up Jägermeister as a spirit for this cocktail. Because if someone buys me a shot of Jägermeister, I'll still drink it. I'd never order Jägermeister for myself. Just the smell of Jägermeister makes my stomach go, no.
That is fair. That was me and Jack Daniels for a very long time. It took me years to even attempt to start drinking whiskey or scotch or bourbon, like in any capacity. When I was in college, probably around the same age actually, because I studied abroad, so we could drink earlier. My friend group and I, the one I was living with, we had a Friday night tradition of, the week's over, time to go party. We would we would like rotate whoever's buying a bottle of Jaeger, and we would put it down. We would play, I forget what the card game was called, but we would just play a card game that had fairly quick rounds. And at the end of every round, we would just do a Jaeger bomb. And so we would get through that bottle between the 4 or 5 of us, something like that. And then we would go out and drink more. So by the end of the year, we had like the fireplace mantle, because we were renting some house, filled with like 3 rows deep of Jaeger bottles, as just a testament to how much we fucking drank. So Jaeger was part of my like bloodstream composition for a very long time.
I was looking up Jaeger cocktails to get idea, and someone on here has a shot that's just Jaeger, Goldschlager, and Rumpelminz. And do you want to fucking die?
I mean, I've done a double shot with a friend we invented in college that was just absinthe followed by Goldschlager to ease it. Because straight absinthe is fucking harsh. So it's not out of the question. But Okay, so Jaeger and then something French. Ironically, when we made the poisonous mechanical spider, we were like, man, dropping absinthe into wine's fucking stupid. Apparently, people just mix wine and champagne. Or sorry, wine and champagne, absinthe and champagne. So
Yeah, it's dumb. Stop doing that, everybody.
it's dumb. It's not a good idea. But so absinthe is very harsh. It's very strong and licorice because of the anise. Jaeger, comparatively speaking, is rather sweet compared to absinthe. So I don't see why you couldn't put a shot of absinthe and a shot of Jaeger into some champagne.
They do have very similar flavor profiles.
Yeah.
You get the anise and licorice in both of them super hard.
Yeah, it would be a very alcoholic drink, but I don't see why. Like, I mean, we downed it because we're stupid, but if you just had this as a drink to sip on, I don't see why you couldn't try that.
Yeah.
And I actually may in the future.
Yeah, I can see that functioning. Anything special we want to add to it?
Yeah, we want like a garnish. We want something. It doesn't maybe. Would putting mint be weird in it? Would that be too complicated
I think if
of
you
a palate?
expressed some mint and garnished it, I think a complicated palate works for the movie we just watched.
Yes.
So
for sure.
yeah, express some mint and garnish champagne, Jägermeister, and absinthe, and yeah, that is a weird, complicated cocktail that's gonna take your mouth all sorts of places. But hey, this movie took my brain all sorts of places. So I'm gonna say that works.
Okay, what are we calling it?
We could just be pretentious and call it the French title of this film. Le
Dame. All right.
Yeah, this fucking movie.
It's fun.
Do we want to do we have spider room moments?
I think for me, it's pelting the kid in the face with a brick.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I think it'd be a disservice to the film to just say the ending because it is bonkers. But like it's the money shot.
I invent more spider room moments the more I watch this film. There's another one where after he's bought the pants, they're just hanging in like a cafe or something.
That's it. Not even the waiter saying anything. When the waiter walks up to the table and George just has his fucking leg propped up. And it's just like, who's the fucking sexiest bitch on the planet? It's me. It's George.
And the waiter does say like, "Oh, nice pants," and George is like, "Oh, nice. Is that it? You want to say anything else about my fucking killer style?" He's just so self-absorbed. It's great.
I mean, probably the kid getting the brick to the face is the right answer.
It's hard to beat. I mean, there's so many great moments in this movie.
It's a movie full of spider room moments. So yeah, hey, thanks for joining us, everybody, for this. Wow, absolutely go watch this film.
Yes, please do, please do. It's a treat.
It's Lamb if Lamb was in on its joke.
It's the first, I think, horror comedy we've watched that actually was released as intended. Incredible Melting Man excluded because that was utterly gutted.
And no, it is legitimately really fucking funny.
Great. I mean, it just turns into a found footage slasher movie.
It starts off feeling a little like, I kind of want to say Jim Jarmusch, but it like I said, it does that thing where it feels like nothing is happening for the longest time, and then it's just it just grabs you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, calling it there.
Yep,
cool.
Yep, calling it there.
Bye.
Bye. The Jaymeson Tapes is hosted and created by Alan Cheney and Abysmii. If you have a movie suggestion for the podcast, please leave a comment, message us on the Creative Horror Discord, or tweet at Creative Horror with the hashtag Jaymeson Tapes. Creative Horror is a network of creators working together to build a constructive community of horror fans. Please visit us at creativehorror.com.